Look, it was only going to be so long before we're all like, Caitlin Clark's got to be back.
You know, she better get back soon because out of sight, out of mind.
We all knew the WNBA would take a hit without Caitlin Clark, and now we know just how bad it is. The latest WNBA TV ratings are in, and if there was ever any doubt about the Caitlin Clark effect, well, now we're seeing it in full reverse. While casual fans are busy watching TikToks of Angel Reese missing open layups, they're not tuning into actual games. Ratings are down sharply, and now it's starting to feel like panic time for the WNBA and its players. We saw the cracks early, but now, the dam has broken. This is shaping up to be the biggest slice of humble pie ever served, and WNBA players, especially the ones who thought they had all the leverage going into the next CBA, are about to take a bite. And with the breaking news of Caitlin Clark's return, which I'm going to break down in this video, the contrast is about to become undeniable. We are about to witness history, and once it happens, there will be no walking it back. Let's get into it. But first, like this video to celebrate Caitlin's return. And don't forget to subscribe for more updates on Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever, and all things WNBA.
Oh wow, as he's not good.
So the initial shock of Caitlin Clark's injury has worn off, and with her out of the lineup, it's been a roller coaster. The Fever dropped their first 2 games without her, including a rough loss to the then winless Connecticut Sun. Then came a bounce back, a solid win over the upstart Mystics, followed by a dominant performance against the Chicago Sky. But just when it looked like they might be turning the corner, they took a tough loss to the Atlanta Dream. I'll dive into the on-court issues in just a moment, because they're having a bigger impact on the league than most people realize. But if you've been following the WNBA at all, you knew this was coming. The moment Caitlin missed any significant time, the league was going to feel it. And sure enough, we started seeing the cracks early.
I can personally confirm the pronounced change in interest in Fever games without Clark. A week ago, I bought 4 tickets on StubHub to take my sports-playing nieces to the Fever Mystics game in Baltimore. The tickets in the same row are now less than half of what I paid.
Ticket prices for the Fever's game against the Sky in Chicago plummeted once news broke that Caitlin Clark would be out. Prices started dropping like a rock, and fast. We had reports of families canceling trips, changing plans, even requesting refunds. And the moment those stories started coming out, you just knew the old guard would take an opportunity to complain about the new fans. And sure enough, get a load of this.
There was one quote in one of the front office sports articles. It's unclear whether the teams will provide any compensation for fans who bought tickets to their games. And I was like, what? Grow up.
So this is WNBA legend Sue Bird and her wife Megan Rapinoe, telling fans to grow up. Brilliant move, right? These are the same fans who are about to skyrocket WNBA salaries after the next CBA. And you're mocking them for wanting to see the reason they bought the ticket. Let's be clear, these weren't seats going for a modest 10 or 15% premium. People paid hundreds of dollars just to see Caitlin Clark. And now, those same seats were being resold for under $10 in some cases. That's not a drop in value, that's a collapse. It's like paying top dollar to see Harry Styles and getting told, actually, Kyle from accounting's gonna do a few covers. Okay, not that bad, but of course people are upset, but it gets worse.
Injuries are a part of it. Again, I get it. It sucks. If you bought a ticket to see somebody and they're hurt, I get it. That is like a big bummer. But no, you would never say that about men's sports. If LeBron was out or Steph Curry or the big names were out for a couple weeks, they would never be like, oh, we're going to reimburse you guys. Sorry about that. Now you're just not taking the WNBA as a business. You're not seeing it as a business. So I'm like, yeah, she's hurt. It sucks. And the league will continue to go.
Are we really going to talk about respecting the WNBA as a business? Because if we're being honest, the league itself hasn't exactly treated it like a business either, at least not until Caitlin Clark showed up. For years, it's operated with significant financial help from the NBA. The Caitlin Clark effect, however, does not require handouts. She and the millions of fans she brought with her are the league's only ticket out of Povertyville. This is the moment the league has been waiting on for decades, and somehow they still don't seem to get it. You don't alienate the engine driving your growth. You fuel it, you protect it, you build around stuff like this.
Here comes Clark in transition. Clark, pull up 3, you bet!
This was an absolute watershed moment for the WNBA. 1.3 million fans tuned in to watch an Indiana Fever exhibition game, and the momentum only built from there, with viewership peaking at 3.3 million during the Fever's showdown with the Liberty. But now? The contrast between that game and what we're seeing today without Caitlin Clark is off the charts. We've already talked about the ticket prices, the first clear sign of a shift in fan behavior and discretionary spending. But there's another metric the league should be watching closely, one that isn't often reported on, but tells a big part of the story.
Betting interest on Fever games dropped as much as 50% last week at sportsbooks when star guard Caitlin Clark was out. The amount wagered on the Fever's 2 games last year at Caesars Sportsbook was roughly half as much as the team's first 4 games of the season.
Betting since Caitlin Clark's injury has dropped like a rock, unless, of course, you're betting on Angel Reese to miss her first layup. More on that in a minute, because believe it or not, it matters. Adding it up, fans are investing less of their hard-earned cash into the WNBA. But what's next is much, much worse. Fans investing less of their time.
Even as good as that rating was, Caitlin Clark's good for about 1 million extra viewers.
According to Nielsen ratings, viewership for nationally televised WNBA games has dropped a staggering 55% since Caitlin Clark's quad injury during the Fever's 90-88 loss to the New York Liberty on May 24th. Zoom in on the Fever, and it gets even clearer and uglier. Since Clark was ruled out, nationally televised Fever games have lost 53% of their audience. Before her injury, they were averaging 1.8 million viewers. Since then, just 847,000. That's not just a decline, that's a free fall. Now, to be fair, on the national broadcasts, like CBS, Fever fans are still showing up.
And a lot of people thought, well, nobody's going to support the Fever now that Caitlin Clark's not there, blah, 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 blah. These new fans aren't helping because they're not tuning in for games if Caitlin Clark's not involved. No horseshit. That officially dispels that myth.
The Fever Sky game still managed to draw an impressive 1.92 million viewers, which on paper looks strong. But keep this in mind. The previous matchup with Caitlin Clark drew 2.7 million. Think about it. This matchup had everything you'd want from a TV draw: tension, animosity, and lingering drama from their season opener. In that game, Angel Reese got upset over a foul, likely because it forced her to make an easy shot, and we all know how that usually goes. Then came 10 straight days of headlines, hate speech investigations, and nonstop debate. You have to believe this one, with Caitlin in the lineup, could have shattered records. The ratings spike that Caitlin created is evaporating, and the WNBA has to be panicking for a few reasons. The first, their other young star I just mentioned is not shining.
Angel Reese is actually an embarrassment for women's basketball. She is so unskilled. There are so many laughable videos. She's become a meme and a punchline, and people keep trying to run her out there like she's the best and the brightest. At some point, enough is going to be enough, and you think these girls would wise up and be like, this woman's actually a problem for us. She diminishes the game. Caitlin Clark elevates the game.
Not only is the league failing to get a boost from Angel Reese, they're actually going backwards. They continue to prop her up as a star, and the media keeps following suit, hyping her up at every opportunity. One of the most telling examples came from CBS Sports, who posted highlights from her game against the Fever. But here's the thing, they only had 2 scoring plays to choose from, and they posted both of them. One of those was an uncontested layup, and somehow they captioned it, making it look easy. And then there's this.
Yesterday afternoon, BET announced that they were honoring Angel Reese with their Sportswoman of the Year award. The announcement itself was enough to cause confusion, but the confusion was magnified when people realized it was the 3rd consecutive year that Angel Reese was given this award.
Most recently, Angel Reese was named BET's Sportswoman of the Year. And get this, she won it over A'ja Wilson, a 3-time MVP and 2-time WNBA champion. People online were baffled. They thought they got centelled. Now, to be clear, this isn't a shot at Angel, but the continued gaslighting, this relentless push to elevate her to superstar status despite clear flaws in her fundamentals, is doing more harm than good. Every time she misses a routine layup, it goes viral. Every time a media outlet overhypes a basic play, fans call it out. And while that might generate social media buzz, it's not translating into ticket sales or viewership, certainly not anywhere near Caitlin Clark levels. If anything, it's negative yards for the league, and for Angel, who would probably benefit from less spotlight and more time to focus on developing her game. Because here's the thing. On-court performance matters. When expectations are set high and players fall short, casuals tune out. And we may already be seeing similar warning signs with the Fever.
Wow, the Indiana Fever are just not fun to watch without Caitlin Clark.
The Indiana Fever's performance this season has been a mixed bag. A few highs, plenty of lows. But the one consistent thread that has fans concerned, they're not playing the style of basketball that made people fall in love with this team. The biggest complaint? They're playing slow. Pace, movement, transition offense, all of it has taken a noticeable step back. And for a team built around Caitlin Clark's tempo and playmaking, that's a problem.
They have played with no speed whatsoever. This is a team that Stephanie White took the Indiana Pacers and tried to turn them into the 04 Detroit Pistons.
The scary part, and why the WNBA should be seriously concerned, is that this isn't just a problem that showed up with Caitlin Clark's injury. The Fever were playing the same slow, stagnant style, even with her on the court. And now, fans and analysts alike are starting to ask tough questions about head coach Stephanie White, about the team's system, and about whether this roster is actually built to support the fast-paced, dynamic game that Caitlin thrives in. Because if this is the direction they're heading, with or without her, it's a problem. Not just for Indiana, but for the league.
Risk and the strategy that the front office took in Indiana was to bring in a lot of vets, to put all this talent around Caitlin Clark. But really, like, what was so fun about watching the Indiana Fever last year was their run and gun, fast pace, like just drive the ball to the basket, and they are not doing that now.
Clearly, there's a lot to fix in Indiana. And even though she won't solve everything, Caitlin Clark can't come back soon enough. She brings the fun, the energy, the pace, and based on what we've seen so far, the winning. And the league needs that. The WNBA needs a Fever team that's fun to watch and actually winning games if it wants to keep this momentum alive. And with this being their CBA year, Caitlin's absence is an absolute disaster.
All the owners have to do is say, what if she gets injured again? It's like, we are not committing to this because she can get injured again. And if she gets injured again, it's over.
This ratings drop without Caitlin absolutely screws their negotiations. No matter what's said publicly, no matter how loudly Sue Bird complains about fans, no matter how many times people say the WNBA was great before, no matter how many BET awards Angel Reese picks up, everyone knows who's driving demand. There's no hiding it anymore. Caitlin Clark isn't just a star, she's the engine. And without her, everything slows down.
I need to get in the field.
You need to come to the meeting.
I gotta get in the meetings because I'm hearing like, yeah, they don't give us, if y'all don't give us what we want, like, we sitting out.
That's a possibility, for real.
Yeah.
That leverage Angel, Nafisa, and Brittany Griner were talking about, it's not theirs, it's Caitlin's. And right now, it's gone. Without her on the court, the numbers aren't there. The ratings are down, the buzz is fading, and the negotiating power that players thought they'd have going into the next CBA, it's slipping away. And that's the real shame, because the league actually has some great storylines this season.
One of the big pickups in the expansion draft.
First off, let's give credit where it's due. The Valkyries are a genuinely fun team to watch. They're playing fast, they've got personality, and most importantly, they're selling out games in a full-size NBA arena. Not a cramped 4,000-seat setup like Atlanta's, which, let's be honest, looks more like a shopping mall food court than a professional basketball venue. And then you have the rookies who are breathing new life into the league.
12 of their 19 points as Iriafin spins and rattles it home.
Wow.
Citron is open, and she splashes home a three. It's Washington's first.
This is exactly what you want to see. Fresh talent, exciting games, and real energy building around the league. But even with all that, you still need a catalyst, someone who shines bright enough to pull in casual fans, media coverage, sponsors, and national attention. And that's what they're missing without Caitlin Clark.
What do we talk about? If you're going to be a successful sports league, you got to bring in the casual fan. I mean, that old WNBA fandom loves to brag, oh, we was here and we was watching these athletes and blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. If you can't get the casual fan, your league is a failure. Because you got to have something that pulls that viewer in.
This is what a lot of the old guard just refuses to concede. Caitlin Clark draws attention to everyone. She brings the eyeballs, the headlines, the curiosity, and if the rest of the product is great, fans stick around. They get more invested in the league. That's how this works. It's a process, and yes, it takes time. Now let's end with some good news.
She's back!
Caitlyn has officially been cleared to play, and honestly, the timing couldn't be better, because everything is set up for the perfect contrast. She's returning against the New York Liberty, the same team she last faced, in a game that drew 3.3 million viewers. And as we all saw, the ratings tanked after that. This is the top team in the league, and the Fever nearly beat them last time, even with a hobbled Caitlyn. Since then, the Fever have struggled, even losing to the league's worst. But now, they've got a fully healthy Caitlyn Clark and a chance to show the WNBA and the world what this team is capable of. And there's more to it than just a return. We're not just going to see a healthier Caitlyn, we're going to see a more cohesive, more confident Fever team that is also more fun to watch.
We changed a little bit of what we did on offense when I was out, just certain actions that we had to be more intentional in, just because, we didn't play out pick and roll as much, because that's what I like to do. And, some of my teammates, that's not their best strength. They have other strengths, so playing to those strengths more.
The criticism about the Fever playing slow is valid, but it's also partly because the team had to adapt to players who don't share Caitlyn Clark's strengths. Without her pushing the tempo, the offense stalled. But now that she's back, we can hopefully return to the fast-paced, electric style of basketball that fans fell in love with. Santel joked that viewership jumped 95% overnight after the announcement. And honestly, it probably did. I wouldn't be surprised if Caitlyn's return gets close to 4 million viewers at its peak. We are setting up for the ultimate statement game, a statement moment in WNBA history. There are moments when even the haters have to give in, because the truth becomes undeniable. The Fever's success and the league's hopes all rest on Caitlyn's shoulders. And it's time she's treated like it. Drop a basketball in the comments to let me know you're here. Thanks for watching. See you next time.